Welcome to the Total Fit podcast. This is Ben. I'm Felicity. So Ben, do you want to give us a bit of info about why we're actually doing this podcast today?
Yes, so this is the third time of relaunching the Total Fit podcast. And the real heart of it, we asked a number of people asking like, how did Total Fit start? How do we have 3 gyms going on? What is holistic health? And so we thought just to have a place where we could have time to communicate just over a longer period of time what we actually do here and how we actually help people.
Yeah, great. Okay, so do you want to give us a little bit, if we go right back to the beginning, where did Total Fit UK, Total Fit Brighton, where did it start?
Yes, so Total Fit started, I didn't start Total Fit, I'm not the founder of Total Fit. I was at university at Sussex, where I met you, actually. And I studied international development, and I was writing, I got a project to go set up a gym abroad in Yemen. And I went and set up this gym, and I saw the benefits it had to the local community. I saw it on a social level, I saw it on an economic level, for the coach, for the owners. I saw it physically. It was a number of different things, how it impacted this community, and I absolutely loved it. And I made a little YouTube video, and some people saw it, and they would said, "You've got to get involved with Total Fit."
It was 2 different guys, wasn't it?
Yes,
different places.
The same week, someone from Australia, someone from America reached out and told me to get in contact with a guy from Slovenia. So it was incredible. And he was called Jay. He was one of the co-founders of Total Fit. And they were all about holistic health. You know, how do we transform someone completely in wholeness to live fully? And that was amazing. And it sent me down a different line where I wrote my thesis on the role of physical leisure time in health. I started doing my strength and conditioning courses. And yeah, it became a real passion.
That's so cool. And so from it being a passion and something you got interested in to it being a concrete gym in Brighton, because Brighton was our first location, how did that process happen?
Yeah, so I think we were going out at the time at university. And I remember you were still thinking of like working in London for some, for Tear Fund or some charity, and I was trying to work out what I should do, whether I should go, apply to work for like the UN, or, if they would have accepted me, I don't know. That's another question. I'd have applied for it. And I was like, no, I really think there's something here that we can do in terms of bringing health to the masses through gyms. And at the time, gyms were very much more just for like bodybuilding or high performance, and not as accessible as they are, in a post-COVID.
Yeah.
And I was coaching rugby at the time at the university, and I thought, what happens if we could just find a space to start with? And I went around all in Brighton, all of the local town halls, all of the local churches, anywhere that had space, and asked them, do you have, a tiny room that I could use to set up a gym? I was, to coach my rugby team and coach other people. And I went around, I found 2 spaces, and then eventually my church that I was going to, the pastor let me have a room that was pretty much like a shoe closet. But we made it into it. It was an office, and we called it a gym. It wasn't, it was a studio. It was a studio. This is a studio, but it was a room. And we called it a gym, and we launched it, and we'd crowdfunded for it. I think it was £8,000 to launch it. We crowdfunded. We had 1 person sign up. I remember I nearly pulled it because I was like, 1 person had signed up for membership. And I was like, no one is going to come here. And we launched it, and then a month later, COVID hit.
Yeah. That was a pretty brutal time.
Yeah.
We had to make some big changes, didn't we? Because we couldn't accept anyone into our gym space anymore. But I think it was also a really good time for us as a company, because we saw how much fitness and community, I think, was a really big part of it for us, affected people's health. And we saw the impact of that health is not just physical. If someone doesn't have COVID, it didn't make them healthy necessarily when they were shut in their own house, not seeing anyone. And we saw loads of stuff, and we saw really positive ways where we went online with our training, which was a lot harder as a coach, our little Zoom workouts. But we also ended up forging a really cool community of people who saw each other nearly every day sometimes, for an hour in the morning for a workout. And then as soon as those restrictions lifted a little bit, we were in the park in every bit of weather. But yeah, I think that was definitely a forging time for
I think it also showed
the gym, wasn't it?
one of the things that Total Fit do. So when we joined with Total Fit, they didn't really have any gym structure at the time. There was like a personal training course. And so the idea of running a full Total Fit gym was quite unique, because in Total Fit, what we do in terms of asking those questions, you know, in COVID, we asked everyone like, what's been the highlight of the day? What's stressing you out? Are there any needs anyone has in the community that we can help out with? We have a theme, we have a story. So we're trying to touch those 6 spheres, you know, physical, spiritual, social, emotional, intellectual, and environmental. So people are growing in all of them with the healthy habits. It really showed the need for it, I think, in those COVID, and we're able to form that community because people being vulnerable, people were opening up about how they were doing. And we were able to guide people not just in the physical, but in the other spheres, like you were saying. And I think that set us up well. Then when we met in person, it was so much more powerful with that.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so that was our kind of COVID journey. We kind of came out of the worst bit of COVID with a lot of park training experience, a bit of Zoom training experience, and a very small gym still. But what happened next?
Yes, then we got, there was a cafe next door that sadly went under, but we got expanded into there, which was great. So then we had like a little, I mean, it's still a studio, but you know, a studio and a PT space for that. And over those years then really just was growing, you know, when you grow, it's just me and you coaching. You came on full time after uni. And then we built up members, and then we needed to bring in part-time staff, you know, like people like Susie came on we had our first part-time staff, and bless them, it was us trying to learn how to manage staff and team. And then we built from there, you know, in terms of from 1 to 2 to 3, and I think we had like 8 part-time staff at one time with nutrition coaching and, you know, 120, 130 members going through all Total Fit training and bringing in. I think one thing that we did was really tracking. We had deep sense of tracking and helping people progress on not just their physical health, but other elements of that with our goal setting. And so it was wonderful over those like 3-4 years building that community and seeing, I think, fine proofing the method of our coaching over those years.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then we kind of went from there. We had some part-time staff. We'd started really building Total Fit Brighton. So then we were kind of in a position where we wanted to bring on some full-time staff members. I think I got pregnant, and we were kind of getting ready for a change as a family as well. And me kind of stepping out of full-time work. And so then that looked different as well, like the ability to offer like a full-time job role. That I think our big heart was, we don't want our coaches to have to work split shifts and ridiculous hours all the time, which we were doing for a season when we were just working the whole day. But it was fine when you're a married couple who work together and with no kids. And then we were like, how do we make this kind of last for our team as well? So then we brought on our team, didn't we? Then I went on mat leave, and then Total Fit Brighton kind of started running itself quite well. And then what happened after that?
Yes, I think the big thing in terms of it was, how do we make, as coaches, we're meant to be an example of what health is. We coach every day, and so I think there was a bigger lack of integrity in all of us, where we had to be doing, because of the business structure, we're doing like 13-hour days and 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And so I could see it in a number of our coaches were very fatigued and tired, and not actually being able to practice what we believe in terms of how was your social health, you know, when are you hanging out with friends, you know, you going on holiday, you spending time in nature, all of those things. I think because of the structure, I think there's an economic structure with the fitness space that it's built like a gig economy where it's like it's a young industry, and so a lot of people are used to being like just doing it part-time, and we've seen that change over the years where it's becoming like people used to be like, what, when are you going to get a real job, like as if being a personal trainer as a coach wasn't a real profession. And so I think we're seeing that change, and that was a big heart. It's like, how do we offer careers and vocations there? And in order to do that, you've got to offer something phenomenal to be able to, we have to provide a service where we can pay a salary for our coaches. And so we really pushed us to be able to create a phenomenal service with that. And so that came on, and then Total Fit Global were like, thank you for your work with Brighton. Would you be able to build out a multi-site so you can help build a playbook for other gyms around the world? And so we partnered with them, and that has been the journey, since then. So we built here in Burgess Hill in October 25, or 24. Yes, and now we're in 26, April, March, February, March. And then we built Lewis as well, and we changed Brighton's structure to be like Burgess Hill just because our heart, we used to run like a CrossFit and semi-private, and we kind of, we do believe it's that a number of our clients we're trying to serve, as welcoming as we were, the high intensity was too much on their joints. And we were becoming even though we didn't want to be, we were becoming a performance gym where we were tracking, more cared about what you were lifting than the impact it was on your joints. Even if you're doing with great form, there's still max loading is not actually beneficial for the body for a number of people. And it's different if you're 20 or 30 and you've got an athletic background, but if you've never exercised before and you're coming in your 40s, 50s, 60s, you really need to be careful about the level of impact. And so we really pivoted kind of into what we're doing now is really strength focused, and it fits more of our brand of like, we want people to go outside and play sport. We would love it if your knees can handle it to go out for a run, if not go for a swim instead or a cycle. But our purpose of a gym is a catalyst for you to live your life. I'm not hating on CrossFit, that's what we used to do. We don't answer all your questions in the space. We empower you to do that outside the gym. And so we believe strength first, strengthen your body so that you can go and do these activities and live your life. Go and have a place where you're challenged to grow holistically, and just check in, just have a coach to ask you, how is your social health? Are you spending time outside? All these different areas. Are you reading something that's stimulating your mind? Do you have purpose in your work? We want to be that place where it catalyzes all of your health. And we do that physically by getting you stronger, and then we encourage you in all your other spheres.
Yeah, that's good. I think it's seeing that, I think we went on that process, I think even for potentially becoming parents for us was a big thing of seeing that we loved training hard and fitness and stuff when we were younger. But then as you grow, you gain more responsibilities and you have to make choices of what is important and what's not. And the level of fitness I have now as a mum is not as high as I was when I was in my early 20s before I had her. But I also don't need to have that level of fitness anymore because it was beyond the requirement for me to be able to live my life well. And so I think it's trying to shift that mindset of like, it's not all about the gym, but the gym is a really good place for us to focus on our health for life. But life is not about the gym is about like giving us health for life. And that's kind of why we changed our programming, why we have set up the way we have, and why we encourage people to do stuff outside of the gym as well as coming to our sessions. Where would you say that's kind of been our journey?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's been, really just over the last few years, just fine-tuning what we're delivering so we can really make people, we want them to be active in the body, we want them to have purpose in the spirit, and we want them to be mindful and full of joy in the mind. We don't want people and so homing in anything that doesn't help those things, we don't need to do. So yeah, it's definitely been fine-tuning.
Nice. Okay, so that was Brighton, and then then moving to Burgess Hill and Lewes as well. What would you say about where we're at now that you want our listeners to know?
Yeah, so I think really exciting time, as we're growing, and more people are being aware. I remember doing my first consults, and 7 years ago, and you'd have people come in who'd be like, I don't want to get bulky. As people now come in and they're like, women in their 50s and 60s and be like, I want to feel strong. So you've seen that change in people, and I'm so excited. We've got people, playing cricket in their 70s, or we've got women skiing in their 70s, and we've got an 88-year-old in Lewes. We've got dads in their 40s who've got more energy than they had in their 30s, and so I think it's a really exciting time of seeing. We've never been here in history where we've had such knowledge on nutrition, such knowledge on well-being, such skill level. Our coaches, like some of our coaches, are better than I've coached because they are great. They're phenomenal, in terms of the level of training and understanding of the body is so much more than it's ever been. And so I think I'm really excited in what the potential is for our members, in terms of we're not trying to get PBs in, or maybe some of them in Ironmans or lifting a max lift, but what they could get to do in their life for longevity. How can they keep being able to do the activities that they want to do for the rest of their life? I'm really excited about that, and growing that and offering that opportunity to more and more people is our plan.
Yeah, that's so cool. And what are we going to be able to use this platform for, like on our next podcast and stuff? What can people look forward to? Kind of moving forward, waiting for the next podcast to come out. What's our plan?
Yeah, so definitely a big thing that we're going to be going through is just different topics. So we'll be getting different coaches on here to talk about specialities, whether that's you're struggling with type 2 diabetes, or whether you've got an injury that you're trying to recover from, or it's a different sphere of how you stimulate your intellectual health or your social health, really getting experts on those fields to talk through it, as well as going into different things that we're doing in the gym for that week. So whether it's unpacking the healthy lifestyle habit, unpacking the theme of the week, just so we have a space to go deeper, that if you're coming into the gym twice a week, or even if you're not a member at Total Fit, you've got time to have a deeper dive into your health and fitness. So really excited to be exploring those in the next few weeks.
I'm excited too.
Great. So if you are available, we'll be posting these all over Spotify. So check them out, Spotify, Total Fit Personal Training, and our YouTube channel as well, Total Fit Personal Training. And we'll see you soon.